Backdoor secret dealings by the establishment. That's how we got House Majority Whip Tom Emmer of Minnesota nominated by the Republican conference as the new nominee for House Speaker after 5 rounds of voting by secret ballot. Oh joy. Thankfully, though, he's already withdrawn after realizing that he wouldn't be able to get to 217 in a full congressional vote. But still, let's dwell on the fact that he even got the nod in the first place by the party, because he might be even worse than sellout Kevin McCarthy, the former roommate to Big Pharma shill Frank Luntz. Somehow he edged out other candidates like Congressman Byron Donalds of Florida and Mike Johnson of Louisiana. The National Pulse is reporting about Emmer today that, quote, Emmer is perhaps best known for his anti-Trump positions, as well as his refusal to assist MAGA candidates during the 2022 midterm elections, when he controlled the purse strings of the powerful National Republican Congressional Committee. As a result, Emmer condemned the GOP to its wafer-thin majority that has led to the current Capitol Hill mess. Prior to serving in Congress, Emmer worked as a spokesman for the National Popular Vote Initiative, an effort funded by George Soros and backed by former President Barack Obama to essentially end the Electoral College and elect the president via a nationwide popular vote, end quote. Like I told you, worse than McCarthy. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene also added about his voting record that, quote, he voted for Democrats' gay marriage bill, voted with Democrats to overturn President Trump's transgender military ban, voted for every penny of Ukraine funding, at one time supported the Soros National Popular Vote scheme, and voted to certify Biden's 2020 election. We need a Republican speaker that reflects the values of Republican voters that can lead our conference, end quote. And yet Emmer was going around acting like he was President Trump's best friend when he first got the nomination. But on Truth Social today, President Trump set the record straight and called Emmer a rhino who always fought against his MAGA agenda. And he said that voting Emmer as House Speaker would be a tragic mistake. And that probably also helped to hammer the last nail in his coffin. But you know, while all this pressure swirls, let's take a moment to breathe and take stock of the fact that the House Speaker chair sits empty. And guess what? Life goes on. That's not to say that this is the most ideal situation, because it's not, but it does help to prove our theory, at least, that our nation is not predominantly led by any one powerful official, whether that be Speaker, President, Senate Majority Leader, you name it. But instead it's governed by tens of thousands of unelected bureaucrats in vast bureaucracies who more often than not render election outcomes futile. Like often, those types simply refuse to carry out President Trump's orders, for example. It's called the deep state. Now, I say all this to alleviate the sense of urgency some feel right now. That at this point, after cycling through Tom Emmer, Steve Scalise, and Jim Jordan, we just need someone to pick up the gavel. Someone, anyone. But we can't let that be our mindset. That's what the establishment anti-Jordan representatives want us to feel. So that the congressperson who represents you in D.C. feels like they need to cut any kind of deal just to elect someone at this point. But that's how you trip up and make decisions you later come to regret, like nominating Emmer of all people when we had Jim Jordan right there for the taking. But like I said, we could actually wait this out with an interim speaker until we get a really strong candidate who is willing to fight against this entrenched establishment power, both within the Republican Party itself and without, whether that be Jordan again or not. But I have a feeling that too many Republicans will get too antsy as more nominees come and go. Joining us now to discuss is Luke Ball, the CEO of Mason Burrows Strategies. Luke, thanks for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So what do you make of the short run that Emmer just had, and the fact that he even got the nomination in the first place?
Well, first of all, your assessment of the empty and vacant speaker's chair is spot on. I don't think Americans should be pulling out their hair. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Hollywood is no second place to Washington, D.C. when it comes to theatrics. In fact, Washington, D.C. is Hollywood for ugly people. There's going to be drama. There's going to be back and forth fighting. There's going to be infighting in theatrics. And quite frankly, it's like a bad season of The Bachelorette, just trying to narrow down the final guy to see who's actually going to take the speaker's chair. But I think the American people need to look at the United States Congress as a whole and not as whoever is class president at that particular moment. They need to say, what is Congress planning to do once we do get a Speaker of the House? Once the Republicans install somebody, what are we going to get accomplished for the American people? People don't really care who sits in the top chair in that chamber. They do care about the types of bills that get passed through that chamber. Are they going to release the January 6th tapes? Are we actually going to balance a budget?